Rise and shine. This is your morning Buzzcast for Thursday, July 24th. I'm Austin Karp. Well, it's that time of year when we get a look under the hood on the NFL's financials. Thanks to the Packers being a publicly owned team, it's the only glimpse into NFL revenue sharing figures. So, what did we learn? No surprise, TV money continues to be good for the NFL as every team saw its share of national revenue grow 7.5% to around $433 million last season. NFL league revenue, mostly media and sponsorship fees, totaled around $13.8 billion in the fiscal year that ended March 31st, split evenly among the 32 NFL teams. That sum has grown by more than 58% since the 2019 season, primarily due to these huge media rights deals that the league signed with networks in 2021, fees that are likely to go up again when the NFL does its next round of media deals here in a few years. Now, the Packers themselves, they are sitting pretty, an $83.7 million operating profit on total revenue of $719 million. That's up sharply from a $60.1 million profit on $654 million in revenue the prior year. The NFL's media rights deals run through 2033, but most expect the league to opt out in some capacity after the 2029 season on most of those deals, restructure the packs. Why? You have deals like CBS with the NFL. That deal is now worth less annually than what NBC is going to be paying the NBA in that current deal. So there has to be some sort of significant correction there for some of these NFL media rights deals. Now let's move over to soccer, as MLS had over 20,000 fans at Q2 Stadium for its All-Star game last night in Austin, Texas. Another win over Liga MX for the MLS Stars, even without Leo Messi, who, along with Jordi Alba of Inter Miami, skipped the game. Now we get to see whether the league office, according to the rules, will suspend the duo for their next game for skipping the All-Star event. There is some precedent here, as MLS suspended Zlatan Ibrahimovic years ago for a similar offense, but Zlatan is no Messi. And speaking of Messi, TikTok, MLS, and Apple are bringing back the Messi live stream that was so successful during the first round of the playoffs last year. This is a special live stream. Fans just get to focus on Messi for a game. There'll be 4 matches this time as part of the deal, starting with Inter Miami's Leagues Cup match on August 2nd. The other 3 games are still TBD right now. Last season's debut of this Player Spotlight Messi feed drew more than 6.4 million live views across the MLS and Inter Miami accounts on TikTok. That set a record for the largest live audience for a U.S. sports event on TikTok. This was talked about a lot when it happened during the playoffs. Obviously not an apples-to-apples comparison with any sort of TV measurement, but this felt like the best exposure numbers that MLS has seen for a match, at least that I can remember. Meanwhile, another MLS Board of Governors meeting came and went in Austin without a vote being taken on a proposed transition to the European soccer calendar, but my colleague Alex Silverman, who's been on the ground, notes Commissioner Don Garber touted the potential move as a core component of the league's future. Garber outlined his vision for MLS 3.0, the first pillar of which is adopting this fall to spring model that is used by FIFA and the world's top leagues. Multiple owners and high-level club executives told Silverman this week that the question isn't if the transition will occur, but when. But Garber also stressed the importance of first ironing out a ton of business and competition issues tied to such a shift. MLS also says sponsorship revenue for both the league and the properties represented by its Soccer United marketing arm is up by a double-digit percentage year over year. The lift comes as MLS and other soccer properties seek to sell brands on the potential impact that next summer's FIFA World Cup will have on the popularity of soccer in the United States and all of North America. At least 18 MLS sponsors were activating around All-Star festivities in Austin. And beyond Major League Soccer itself, the league says the work it does for the Mexican national team is a significant driver behind those sponsorship revenue increases. All right, let's talk about some college sports now. A bill that would help regulate the space, including how athletes are compensated by schools, made it through a U.S. House of Representatives committee yesterday. It's a key step toward a potential vote on what is known as the SCORE Act. This is the first bill to move through committees in either Chamber of Commerce, but the soonest any vote could happen is going to be September when Congress returns, as the House moved up its traditional summer break to avoid any votes right now related to the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. So what does this proposed college legislation mean? Well, student athletes would be prevented from getting employment status, which mirrors much of what the recent House case settlement called for. There would also be an end to most administrative restrictions on NIL compensation, as it would override current NIL laws, which vary from state to state. It also, importantly, would grant antitrust protections to the NCAA and conferences. Will the bill as written make it past the Senate? Not likely, but it's a step towards some sort of nationalized standard. However, you already have attorneys general from D.C., Florida, New York, Ohio, and Tennessee signing a letter that urged Congress not to pass the SCORE Act because they say it consolidates too much power in the hands of the NCAA. So if anybody had any illusions that the college sports legal and political headaches would subside after the House settlement, here we are. They're not going anywhere. But we are just under a month away until week 0 for college football. Iowa State, Kansas State from Ireland being the notable one there. That's August 23rd. Let's wrap things up with some quick hitters this morning. I was able to take an ACC kickoff yesterday in the media days. Really great to see the hustle and bustle at that event with college football on the horizon. Coaches, ADs, TV voices all over the Hilton here in Charlotte. I had a great discussion with ESPN and ACC network voice Wes Durham on a number of issues. That was a real treat for me. Wes was the longtime voice of Georgia Tech athletics. Definitely when I was in school, a Georgia Tech Sports Hall of Famer, maybe the top voice for the ACC. You can check out that conversation on SBJ tomorrow. A very odd report from the Wall Street Journal last night, as NBC Universal is reportedly discussing the launch of a sports cable network that could debut as early as the fall. The channel would primarily carry sports that are also streamed on Peacock. The network would be offered to cable and satellite distributors as part of a specialty package of similar channels. NBC Universal wouldn't make the channel available in the big, broad channel packages that typically include networks with sports such as ESPN and Fox Sports 1. If you're scratching your heads and asking, didn't NBC Sports Network just fold a couple of years ago? Yes, it did. And this sort of play to launch a cable network in 2025 does seem very odd to me. Talks are very preliminary, something to pay attention to. The NWSL has been on a break all month due to international competitions, and the league returns on August 3rd with national viewership down around 8%. Some key players have been missing a lot of time this season due to either injuries or pregnancies. Players like Mallory Swanson, Trinity Rodman, among the big names missing a lot of time. But the league has been shuffling around some back half TV windows to really try and get those numbers back up across ESPN, ABC, ION, and CBS. That also includes a special jersey retirement game in early September for Alex Morgan. That's going to be on ESPN. The PBR has a new 2-year deal with the CW as that network continues to build out its sports portfolio. The PBR has now done new deals with the CW and Fox Nation in the wake of a failed media deal that it tried with Dr. Phil's Merritt Street Media. That company went bankrupt, and they are both still embroiled in some legal back and forth. And finally, an SBJ programming note. This week on the SBJ Sports Media Podcast, Molly Cahalan and I break down the latest in sports media, including the Barstool Sports Fox Sports partnership. We're joined by our colleague Rachel Axon to talk about WNBA All-Star Weekend. We also have insight from Anmal Malhotra of Snap and how they are making sports more accessible for fans. Finally, we're joined by Joe Hand Jr. of Joe Hand Promotions for a look at the evolution of his business. All that and more on the SBJ Sports Media Podcast. Make sure you like and subscribe. It's available now wherever you get your podcasts. So that is your morning Buzzcast for Thursday, July 24th. I'm Austin Karp. Make good choices out there, and I will speak to you all again tomorrow.